I would just challenge you to look at the consistent witness of the entire Bible. From the very beginning of the Bible, it's clear that somebody has to pay a price for sin. Something has to die. In the Old Testament, we have the sacrificial system. The spotless lamb had to give its life for the sins of Israel. So God called for blood to be shed, and when the people trusted in the shedding of that blood, the promise of God for the forgiveness of their sins, they were forgiven, not because there was anything about that animal's blood that saved them, but they were trusting in the sacrifice that God had provided for them, which was a shadow of the ultimate sacrifice to come.
There must be an atonement for us to believe in, and that atonement is the person of Jesus Christ.
And so what gets subtly sort of caught and taught is that Jesus rescues you from God.
There's a God who loves some people enough that he'll save them while he burns everybody else. It's not really that good of news. Like, I could do better.
But what kind of God is that we would need to be rescued from this God? How could
You say that God has saved you. From what has God saved you?
We are saved from God Himself. And there's only one who can save from God, and that is God Himself.
That is Jesus, who rescues us from the wrath to come.
Salvation is deliverance from the wrath of God against sin.
Much more then, having now been justified by His blood, we shall be saved from the wrath of God through Him.
I like to say it this way: God has saved us from Himself, God has saved us by Himself, and God has saved us for Himself.
How could that God ever be good? How could that God ever be trusted? And how could that ever be good news?
I'll never forget, I got a text from my friend, "Did you see John Piper's tweet?" And so I looked it up myself.
There was a famous tweet from John Piper that said, "Farewell, Rob Bell." And he came under a lot of criticism for this tweet.
John Piper is dismissing another pastor from Christian community? Or like, what does this mean? He's asking questions like, are we not supposed to do that?
People like Rachel Held Evans and other progressives said, you know, he didn't even read the book, and yet he's condemning Rob Bell.
A lot of the people who seem to have the harshest criticism in regards to Rob's book had not, in fact, read the book. He never takes a position in the book. He merely poses the question.
But one thing that often gets left out of that conversation is that there was a trailer for the book in which Rob Bell basically denied the wrath of God. He denied core things of the gospel in asking questions. So to say, well, he was just asking questions. One thing I've seen over and over again in the progressive church is that sometimes there's an answer embedded in the question.
This is why lots of people want nothing to do with the Christian faith. They see it as an endless list of absurdities and inconsistencies, and they say, why would I ever want to be a part of that?
And so that's when questions actually become statements masquerading as questions. And I think that's what John Piper was responding to.